I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside. It's so comfortable and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off-road. The guy managed the group. He was like, what are you doing in this beautiful car? I'm like, I'm going off-road. He's like, are you sure? Because you can use one of ours. And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability as well as its robust interior are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender. Capella University is rethinking higher education. With its game-changing FlexPath learning format, you can earn your degree on your schedule and fit your education seamlessly into your life. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show. Today on the James Altucher Show.
So I'm curious also, I'm going to ask the basic question, but what would you say to a kid who wants to make YouTube videos, or even me who wants to make more popular YouTube videos, in addition to your 4 rules, which I think are valuable for all creativity and even other things like entrepreneurship and negotiating and whatever, sales. What would you recommend to aspiring YouTube creator?
Have a purpose for sure. That's like the biggest one. But when you're starting out, sometimes you don't know what your purpose is. So then I would maybe break some of those rules that we said and do a lot of stuff. Just do it over and over again. There's this culture right now that's kind of like anti-hustle culture that's happening, where you know it's unhealthy to promote hustle, and it is. I think it's not necessarily for everybody, but it is kind of required if you want to do something pretty great, if you want to have a great career.
Particularly now.
Yeah.
Here with Craig Benzine, otherwise known as WheezyWaiter, one of the most popular and definitely the most prolific video, vlogger, YouTuber. What is it called these days? Video podcaster? I feel like video podcast is what it's kind of called these days. Like vlogger is an old word now.
According to the sponsors and the business side, they'd say an influencer.
You're an influencer. You're a YouTube influencer.
Yeah, I don't really like that term, but yeah, we could say that. Yeah.
I would say though, as a okay, so let me just set the stage here.
Yeah.
I was on one of your videos. I forget. Was that like a year or 6 months ago, or?
You're on 2 actually, and it's been like 6 months for the first one. Yeah.
It was on the Owning a Home.
Yeah.
What's the title of that one?
That one is Why Do People Like Buying Homes?
And I was, of course, the person who doesn't like buying homes, and you own a home, so it was. I think you probably had to title it. Why do they like buying homes? What was the second one?
It was Why Do People Like Minimalism?
Okay. Well, I have zero memory, by the way. I think I'm in early stage Alzheimer's.
That's okay.
Did you interview me for that one?
I interviewed you for both in one sitting, so that's why.
Okay. Maybe I got confused.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and you also did a video, how we quit sugar for a month. Here's what happened. That got 10 million views. But you've been, it's easy to think, oh, that was such a good idea. No wonder he got 10 million views. You've been like doing YouTubing since 2006. I'm totally jealous because I wish I had started doing anything in 2006 and stuck with it until today. And I'm sure, there's a saying that the best day to start something is,
10 years ago?
yeah, 10 years ago and today.
Yeah.
And you did it 10 years ago. Everybody else has the option of today. So we're going to talk about how to maybe, kind of ramp up a little more quickly than you did, but also kind of the determination and, as you put it in one of your videos, the grit that you had and kind of what you've learned and the formulas. But it was, and you've done so many types of YouTubing, but what you've been doing lately are these things like where it's more like you pick some challenge, you do it, and with high production, you videotape it along the way. So how I quit sugar we quit sugar for a month. Here's what happened. We went vegan for a month. Here's what happened. We went to sleep, or I went to sleep every day at 7 p.m. Here's what happened. Meditated every day for a month. Here's what happened. And I love these. I love these sorts of things as opposed to like, here's what would happen from a scientific research point of view. Here's what would happen if you went vegan every day for a month. Because I feel like that's the average book, but the books and the videos and the podcasts I enjoy the most is where you're putting yourself through it and then you're documenting it, because then you get to play with it. You get to get everybody's reaction to what you're doing. And I actually do have questions. I'm going to stop rambling in a second. But you ever read A.J. Jacobs' books?
Which
Year of Living Biblically.
I don't think I've read. I probably read synopses of his books.
Okay, so he does something similar where he'll say, I'm going to live the life as prescribed by the Bible for a year, and then he'll write it. Or I'm going to read every book in the Encyclopedia Britannica. So that's the book, the know-it-all. And then he documents, or he has another book, My Life as an Experiment, where he has lots of little experiments that he does, including outsourcing his arguments with his wife to an outsourcing firm in India. And, and then he documents. And I think that's just such a much more interesting, clever, almost gonzo journalism style of doing things. So, but I want to, those get millions of views. Your YouTube channel, I feel like kind of really, you took it to the next level when you sort of shifted like that. But let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
2006.
2006. Well, actually 2007. I was a year late to the vlogging game, I guess you could say. I was living in Chicago, waiting tables, graduate with a communication arts degree in radio, television, film, so I was waiting tables.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It was a college degree well spent.
Right. And
by the way, we have a video why people like going to college, but we could. How come you didn't call me up about that one? By the way,
I don't know. I had to get it done quickly.
All right,
so I was waiting tables, and I always was interested in film. I could edit video pretty well. I've been messing around with film my whole life, or video my whole life, and I wanted to kind of be I wanted to be a filmmaker like most 20-something communication arts graduates like myself. But I was in Chicago with my band, waiting tables, and I just felt kind of trapped. One day I went into work. I was broke, and I was living month to month. I went into work. I got no tables. Nobody came in, and I was sent home early, and I was just like, it was probably my real low point where I was just like, I had nothing to lose, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to start making things. I'm just going to, what the hell? I'm just going to, and you know Zay Frank?
Yeah.
I found his videos around that time, and he inspired me big time to just.
He was like a Silicon Valley / comedian.
Yeah,
like he would do comedy, but at like entrepreneur conferences.
Yeah,
and then videotape and put the videos up.
But he also he had a thing called a show or The Show with Zay Frank, which he made a video every weekday for a year. And before anyone was doing stuff like that, like he was putting up it wasn't even doing it on YouTube. He was doing it on Blip TV, which
I remember that.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. So I started doing that on Blip TV. I just decided, you know what? I'm done not trying to pursue this passion that I think I have. So I just decided to put them up every weekday for Blip TV, and nobody watched. Nobody, and I should have put them. I didn't put them on YouTube right away. I should have put them up on YouTube at that time.
Yeah, because YouTube at this point had already had the Andy Samberg. What's the song?
Lonely Island.
Yeah, but Lonely Island, but also the song
Lazy Sunday.
Lazy Sunday, yeah.
Yeah.
So Lazy Sunday was the first YouTube video to get 100 million views.
Yeah.
And in Lazy Sunday 2, by the way, which was like 10 years later, he even shouts out, still waiting for my YouTube check. Because they sort of put YouTube, I don't want to say they put YouTube on the map, but they sort of put YouTube on the map with that. And it was spread around fast then.
Absolutely. I think they owe them. But I was just kind of making stuff for mostly friends and family. I would get excited if a video got 300 vieys. That took a lot of persistence though too, to kind of like, do this for a year and only get 300 views. I kind of think I would sort of fizzle out after a few. Well, yeah, for me it wasn't I don't know, it was just fun. I enjoyed it. And I didn't expect anything else because I didn't know anything else was possible, really. What
were you hoping to do? Like, did you have a goal in it, or?
I was hoping it would at least give me experience and help me maybe get a job, like a quote unquote real job, doing video or something. And it did lead to an office job working for an internet company in the suburbs of Chicago, doing video for local businesses, basically. So it did lead to a job. And then I quickly discovered I didn't like that job very much either. So then I continued making videos. Gradually, I did. An audience started to come around. Like I don't know. There was also this website. There was this blog called YouTube Reviewed, which was they would review these just random video bloggers at the time, and that doesn't exist anymore either. But I posted to them, and they really liked my videos. They put me on the front page. The next day, I woke up to 97 emails of new Twitter followers, and it was like the most excited I'd ever been in my life. I was like, are you kidding me? 97 emails? This is insane. And from that point on, that was probably 2 or 3 years into making videos. From that point on, it just started to slowly grow.
How many videos at that point had you made?
100.
100, okay.
Yes.
And then, did you ever feel like, okay, now you had to cultivate an audience, and like, we're getting all these emails, like you say this is the happiest ever been.
Yeah.
It kind of showed that, there might be a ramp up here. There might be a potential for one of those exponential growing curves that we all love to experience at least once in our lives of, people like me.
Yeah.
But did you focus on improving the quality of the videos, or did you focus on interacting with the audience? Like what changed in your focus at that point?
I focused on consistency. I focused on, because I had the office job. The video making led to this office job. So I wasn't waiting tables anymore, but I was still WheezyWaiter. But
yeah, I should mention your channel is WheezyWaiter, WheezyWaiter. Waiter.
Yeah. And because I have asthma and I was a waiter when I started it. But I decided I'm just gonna, this is growing now. I'm gonna just put out more content, just put out as much content as I can. So I would get up like 5. I had to be at work by 10 p.m. I'd get up at like 5:45 a.m. or 10. I had to be at work 10 a.m. I'd get up at 5:45 a.m. and I would just make videos every morning.
And was it kind of like a vlog type of thing where you're talking to a camera and you're giving some?
It's all absurd comedy. I did a lot of absurd inside jokes, recurring jokes. I saw it as kind of like the Mr. Rogers of adult more adult comedy. That's basically what I saw it as, and more absurd.
You referred to comedy, in a recent video from about a year ago, where How I Saved My YouTube Channel, and I thought your analysis there was interesting. But what was like a sample absurdist video that you would do back then?
Well, I had a recurring thing that I would, the coffee would be done, and I'd say, the coffee's done. I love it when the coffee's done. And then I would get up, and some sort of weird adventure would happen on my way to the coffee. Some sort of weird editing trick, like I'm going to fly to the coffee, and then I'd jump, and then it'd like cut to me like with my head like moving really fast and like just doing some dumb adventure to the coffee.
These were sort of like long TikTok videos in today's parlance.
Yeah. So I just thought like the consistency and the recurring gags would just keep people around, and people liked it, and it kept growing. And then eventually
What was the most popular video during this period?
It's hard to say. There are too many videos. It was just kind of a slow growth. There wasn't one that really stuck out. Was there? I can't think of one. No, it's just a lot of videos.
But like, well, okay, so what were you getting on average around? Like, what would you expect to get per video?
Around the time when it really started to take off, it was like 10,000 views a video, and then it slowly grew to like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. By the time I got to around 70,000 views a video every weekday, and about 100,000 subscribers. No, 70,000 subscribers. That's when I quit my job. That's when I quit my office job because I was making about the same amount of money I was making when I was waiting tables. And I thought, okay, I think I can quit and do this now.
And you were making it through advertising?
Yeah, just through AdSense. Yeah.
Okay, so like YouTube would put their own videos on the video itself and send you a check every month.
Yeah, that was all. And I don't
It's
know.
like magic.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And ever since then, I just am waiting for when it's going to stop. Like something's going to fall through the floor and YouTube's not going to exist anymore.
Well, I feel like things have changed quite a bit, but let's keep going on the history for a second because you went through a couple of different incarnations in this.
Yeah, so I quit my job and I continued doing this, and the videos got just more absurd and just kind of along that vein of like absurdist humor for about, I don't know, 5 years. And it kind of plateaued after about a couple years of doing it. And then it started to decline. And then it was just sort of like, I think for several reasons it started to decline. One is the way YouTube's subscriber system changed. They back in the old days, for me, it was all about subscribers and just playing to my subscriber base. And YouTube kind of changed. They de-emphasized the subscriber system. It was much more about discovery and watch time. And I just ignored it. I just continued playing to my subscriber base.
But by the way, I have a question about that. So
Yeah.
I feel like on every platform, this started to happen at different times. But like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I think TikTok is a great example, by the way, where subscribers don't mean much, and I think they do it correctly. Like they have they've kind of really gone deep into the discovery part where there's actually opportunity to break out without followers.
Yeah.
But this was a frustrating thing on, let's say, Facebook, because you would work hard to build up follower count, and then organic reach went from 20% to 1% unless you paid, which was sort of like, it seemed like a bait and switch sort of strategy.
Yeah.
Did you feel the same way was happening on YouTube, or did you think it was just a legit change in the algorithm?
It was definitely happening on YouTube. It was a little like YouTube's front page was subscribe. There was a little box that had your subscriptions like would show. Then they put that on a second page. You had to click somewhere else to see it. And then it became harder to find that button to go see your subscribers. So now the front page is usually what's recommended, unless you're not subscribed to YouTube. Then I think it's the trending page probably. I don't know. I haven't gone to YouTube outside of my account in a while, but they just pushed what people are watching. So when people go to YouTube, they're going to watch what's recommended to them much more often than they're going to watch what they're subscribed to. And I was just playing into that system of the subscription, and I was just ignoring it. I was just like, well, my subscribers want to see this, so I'm going to do this.
You're actually making me think this is even a more broad change on the internet, where it used to be you could go to your favorite website and read articles. So if you were interested in Silicon Valley, you'd go to TechCrunch. If you were interested in yoga, I don't know, you'd go to the Yoga Journal website. But now I don't think it's like the same thing with all user behavior on every website. I don't think people go to websites anymore. They kind of just look at what's trending on Twitter, or they look at what's trending on Google News, and that's how they do discovery. I don't think people have favorite websites anymore. So maybe it's kind of mimicked what happened on YouTube. There's no, for a while, everything was niche. So you can go, I'm interested in this, I'm going to go to this website. But now it's sort of like you just search on Google and see what's happening. Or
it's whatever's rising to the top is what everyone kind of goes and watches.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It's happening all over the place. I don't know At the time, I was really frustrated because that was my entire model was subscriptions. I don't know that it was necessarily better than the way it is now, though, because thinking about how I watch things, I'm more excited when I find something new on YouTube than I am seeing my old subscriptions.
Although
Yeah.
I do both, I guess. And when you go to the front page of YouTube, this is at least what I encounter, is that there's some discovery. And then I also see if it looks like it's favoring the channels I subscribe to that I'm most likely to click on. So I'll see if they have new videos. And I'm usually excited if there's a channel that I subscribe to and they have a new video, I'm usually excited to see a new WheezyWaiter video, for instance. Or if there's like the latest trending video, I'm curious as to why that's trending and why everybody's clicking on it, so I might click on that.
Yeah, I know, I a little of both for me too. But so I said there were several reasons. One was the subscription model going away, but another is just that there was so much more content out there. So there's just more things for people to watch. So they're not going to watch. Gradually, people are just not going to watch what they're subscribed to as much, you know. And if I'm making a video every single weekday, people are going to skip videos. You know?
Right. And that's interesting because now the amount of content is mind-boggling, from 1 million books being published a year because of self-publishing to, I don't know, some crazy stat like 1 billion minutes of YouTube being uploaded every minute, or 1.5 billion TikTok users, or 2 million podcasts. There's an insane amount of hours that content creators are expecting from their subscribers. But the flip side is, because I think about this, like, what's the ideal number of articles? What's the ideal number of podcasts? What's even the ideal number of videos to put out? It seems like, yes, if you put out a lot of content, not everybody's going to see everything, but overall, more people will see everything. Well, more people will see something than everybody seeing everything.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what you're making. Like, if what you're making is conversation based like this, I think. Oops, sorry. I think
we almost lost the whole video right there.
Yeah, I think it's more likely, people are gonna. It's a lot easier to put out a lot more things because it's a conversation. It's not. I don't think you do a lot of editing for this.
No, and I think that's the amazing thing with your videos, by the way, is one thing I've always noticed in the podcast world, with few exceptions, is that the higher the production quality, the more listeners. So, and your stuff's very highly produced. Like, you're quitting sugar for a month and documenting what happened. That means you might have, I don't know how many videos you take, but let's say you take like 50 or 60 videos, maybe you take much more. And then you have to kind of, you're trying to boil it down to 10 minutes to a half hour, say, and you have 50 hours of video or 30 hours of video. That's a lot of editing that you're doing.
It's a lot of writing and a lot of editing. I spend
it's funny
weeks.
too.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you. I think that's just like the humor is like, that comes natural to me because that's what I've been doing for years and years and years. But the putting it together and making a good story and making it have a fulfilling conclusion and all of that takes weeks. That just takes a long time to figure that out. But that's like going back to another reason why I think it was declining, is because I was doing that absurd humor over and over and over again for years and years and years. So another reason that I think it stopped working was just that it's got old. It's just I've been doing it a while. I love The Simpsons, for instance. I haven't seen The Simpsons in a decade at least. Even though I still love it. If I go and watch The Simpsons now, I'll probably like a new episode of it.
Yes, what is it, like 31 seasons now, Steve? We've had Mike Reese, one of the original writers of The Simpsons, has been on the podcast twice. And is that the longest running? Is the longest running like primetime cartoon? Is it more than the Flintstones was?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, there's probably a whole new generation of audience every year.
Yeah. And so, like, people just kind of stop watching because they've seen me do it many, many times.
And so, I think a lot of people wrestle with this. Like, sometimes, sometimes if you listen to too much to what the audience wants, you become the audience instead of becoming the creator. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think I wrestled with this with my writing, that, everybody wants to hear about me losing all my money and coming back from that. And so I feel sometimes it's hard. Like sometimes I feel like I have to write that. And you address this in this video, how you saved your YouTube channel. But I think that is a challenge. Like, how did you feel? Like, what did you feel like right at that moment when you're like, oh no, this voice that I've been speaking with for 7 years, nobody wants to listen to it anymore?
I feel like I had been thinking that for years by the point that I decided to change. It was, I think I hid it and I never really admitted it to anyone or even really to myself at the time. But I think I was in like a mild depression about it. I was thinking about like, this is the thing I love. This is the thing I'm good at. This is the thing I committed to for years and years and years. And now it feels meaningless and it feels like no one wants to watch it,
Yeah. And I think particularly if you're not naturally evolving into some other thing that you're passionately want to talk about,
yeah,
that's a horrible feeling because you feel like you've been pouring all your creative energy into one idea and you've just utterly exhausted it. And even your viewers are telling you by not watching that you've utterly exhausted it.
Right.
By the way, mild depression videos probably would have been really hot if you had started doing them right then. You should have just been like crying every day on video.
I should have.
You would have bumped right back up.
I should have. Damn. Well, no, but what I ended up doing worked out anyway. So I decided to stop and I was toying with the idea of doing like these month-long documentaries for a while, but I just never did it because I didn't want to stop the consistent output of videos.
And this was when? What year is this?
Well, when I started doing the sugar video was the first real big month of no added sugar. That was a year and a half ago. That was 2018.
So and I saw your chart of this. It looked like from basically 2011 or 2012 to 2019, your videos were kind of sloping down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just want to mention you were doing some stuff for, John Hank Green.
Yeah.
They were big, John Green, of course, great young adult novelist, but he and his brother Hank, who's been on the podcast, had these great educational, they were the vlog brothers or the vlogging brothers, and they had these educational YouTube stuff. You were doing stuff for Mental Floss, their channel or their idea, Big Questions, which I thought those were great, like 2-3 minutes where you were answering like, what is brain freeze or what is, I don't know, why is the sky blue or whatever they were. There was all these interesting questions.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was one of them, by the way. But so all along I thought it was interesting. You were definitely trying other things.
Yeah,
too.
but those were all like hosting. That was just, it was never like my passion. It was just a thing I did because it was kind of fun.
But it's not a bad idea to like, you have this core ability, you have this core audience, and just to try to experiment in as many ways as possible with those two things. You had these skills that nobody else had. You've been making YouTube videos probably more than just about anyone and longer than anyone. So it was an excellent vehicle for you to experiment with.
Yeah. I was trying lots of things. I also started another channel called The Good Stuff, an educational channel that I produced with friends of mine. It's we went to Area 51. Before it was cool. We went to Area 51.
Wait a second. I think Area 51 was always cool.
Okay. No, but there was that whole thing.
Yeah.
But
did you meet any aliens there?
Nope, did not.
Did you get stopped?
We did see like snipers like nearby or just guards, whatever, like with guns.
What happened? We once flew, like we were in a small plane and we flew like right over Area 51. And I feel like something happened, like our internet access went off.
Our internet access, it did.
Whoa.
It was blocked.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, there's
something happening there.
There really is something happening there for sure. I don't think it's aliens, but there is something. We went to the biosphere too. We went we did a lot of on location educational documentary stuff, and that channel's still out there.
I like those ideas though. I feel like that fits into your brand also at WheezyWaiter.
Yeah, well, especially fits now. Like what I'm doing now is very similar to what we were doing then, only much more about my life.
Oh my gosh, I love these clothes. Mizzen and Main. That's Mizzen and Main. It really is the most comfortable work clothes. travel clothes. I had to travel this whole week. I'm traveling for a week and a half, and I just took Mizzen and Main clothes with me. Close out 2023 in style with comfortable, breathable, packable, and machine washable pieces from Mizzen and Main. As you wrap up your year-end goals, enjoy a Mizzen and Main dress shirt that you can wear confidently. I like that they've very, very just nice, solid colors. I don't really like to get all fancy in patterns and everything, although they do have some pattern shirts, but very comfortable clothes, stretchable pants. It's just super comfortable, but they look professional, and you can wear them casually or professionally. I like some of their flannel shirts or untuck shirts. I love untuck. I never tuck in. So again, whether you're shopping for a special someone or giving yourself the gift you really want, I just buy myself gifts. Mizzen and Main is the perfect gift for any guy who works, travels, and or cares about looking and feeling great. As you could tell by my many photos across the internet, I care about looking fantastic. I'm practically a model. And let's be honest, every guy loves to look great. So again, shop now at mizzenandmain.com and save 20% when you spend $130 or more using promo code James. That's promo code James at Mizzen and Main, Mizzen and Main.com.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
You know what I love about fantasy sports is that even though I'm not going to be a great basketball player or a baseball player or a football player or whatever, I feel like I get to participate and make decisions and use my knowledge of these different leagues or these different sports to compete. So it's like I can pick my team or I can pick my favorite players, and I could use my knowledge to make predictions and maybe even make money. So with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League on Prize Picks. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that include two or more players from different sports or leagues. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, who's also been a guest on this podcast, and I've been a guest on his? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Look, Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. What? So, I love playing it. I love anywhere where I can use analytical ability with my interests to demonstrate some skill and maybe make some money. And I like the game-like aspect. I do wish they had chess as a category on prizepicks.com, but I'll settle for what they've got. Maybe I should make my own fantasy chess league. But in any case, I love Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/James. Use code James for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the easiest $100 you're ever going to make. So that's prizepicks.com/James and use code James. Daily fantasy sports made easy. So basically you had 6 years or more, almost 7 years of this downward slope in audience. Was your income getting affected?
Yes. Not what I was actually so the sugar video it was a month of no added sugar. August of 2018. It went viral. It's my biggest, by far my most successful video. It just hit 10 million views. Yeah.
And hilarious video, by the way.
Thank you.
It's like you got your whole family just you screwed with all of them, which is perfect.
The day when I was like the week leading up to putting that video out, I brought out my old resume and I was polishing it up and thinking about getting another job because the bills were starting. It was starting to get to the point where I was getting a little worried about that. It wasn't like dire yet.
So wait, did your income between 2012 and 2018? Did your income get cut in half, a third?
Probably a third. Yeah.
Meaning like it was two-thirds of what it was, or
it was it was hard to say because that year probably would have been cut in half or more, but then that video hit. So
yeah, and then were you just relying on AdSense, which if anyone doesn't know is Google's automated mechanism of placing ads on popular YouTube channels?
Well, early on was AdSense, like the very beginning of the channel of my career, but then it became more like actual sponsors for the videos and AdSense.
So that probably made more money than an AdSense.
Yes,
advertiser.
But that was also declining at the time because people didn't want to advertise because I wasn't getting a lot of views.
Yeah, because it's all still on a CPM model, like cost per 1,000 views or downloads or whatever the term is.
Oh well, with a sponsor, it was usually like just a direct payment for a spot on the video. But
what was before the sugar video? This is such a critical point. So I'm curious. What was the last video before the sugar video?
Oh well, the one before that was also like. So I kind of stopped like a month before that doing my regular absurd videos. And then I did a video, why do people like haul videos? A video about people, haul videos are just people showing what they bought, going to a store and grabbing the bags and just going through the things they bought.
HAUL.
Yeah.
Okay,
haul.
I thought you meant like hallways.
No.
Who likes a hallway video? I didn't know.
That's probably out there too.
But yeah, haul videos, that strikes me as like unboxing videos. There's like these weird categories of people doing mindless stuff that other people like watching on YouTube.
Yeah, so that was the video right before the sugar video. That was also me changing up what I was doing. That one got maybe like 30 or 40,000 views.
But when you did the sugar one, which seems, because I've seen, smatterings of some of the older videos, this is such a unique change and stance. And you address this in the, how I saved my YouTube channel video, which was in March 2019, a few months after that. Did you have a sense as you were making this video or as you were editing it or as you were about to, that this was going to change the game, or you just didn't know?
No, I knew that I had a sense it would do better. It would do better than what I was doing, and then for like the first week, it didn't pop right away. Like it got better than it was probably doing like 3 times as good as my other videos. It was probably,
and compare that to the 2012 videos. Like let's say your peak 2012.
Yeah,
was it doing as good as?
It was maybe doing slightly worse than the peak 2012 era,
which is so interesting because and I want to hear more about the sugar video, but when you see your videos from 2012 and that video, there is a huge, massive difference. Not that those were bad videos then, but like you just skyrocketed, and it probably because of years of just doing this. You put in your so-called 10,000 hours of making YouTube videos, and everything changed.
Well, I worked on that video for weeks. Like that was the first time. That's the longest I had ever worked on a video up until that point. So I knew it would do better. But I had no idea it would do that good. That's.
Well, why'd you pick that topic?
I genuinely wanted to eat less sugar, and my wife wanted to eat less sugar too. So we just thought that would be a healthy thing to do.
So what I like about that is it came out of a genuine interest.
Yeah,
as
all of
opposed
these. I try to make them all come out of a genuine interest.
I mean, were you kind of were you trying to be on a diet? Like, what were you trying to do with the sugar thing?
Just be healthier, just feel better. Like in general, most of these videos, I'm just trying to have more energy during the day because I feel like as I get older, I just feel like I'm losing energy.
Yeah, you're right. Like there's the, what happens if you go to sleep at 7 p.m. every night? What happens if you meditate every day? What happens if you be a vegan? Which, by the way, did not give you more energy. Is
nope.
what so somebody was on the podcast the other day, Suzanne Summers from the TV show Three's Company, but she was mentioning that she spoke to lots of doctors, and she has yet to meet a doctor who's met someone over the age of 100 who's a vegetarian. So,
yeah.
But by the way, doesn't mean anything. I'm not criticizing vegetarianism.
Yeah.
We have 3 kids who are either vegetarians or worse. But
my conclusion for the vegan video was that it was a perfectly legitimate diet. You could do it, and I didn't feel terrible doing it, but it also didn't really improve anything. I didn't feel like it improved anything.
I noticed sometimes it's we and sometimes it's I. I think your wife doesn't and your kids don't want to try every experiment. Like eating kale every day was probably not as fun for the family.
No, yeah. My wife definitely did not want to go vegan at all, and she didn't. What's another one she didn't do? Sleep. Yeah, she didn't want to change her sleep. She didn't want to get up super early or go to bed super early.
Yeah, she did not want to go to sleep at 7 p.m. And she did not know why you wanted to be without her while you slept, and she was just hanging out till 10 p.m.
Yeah, she is joining me on the one right in the middle. We're in the middle of right now, which is no alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she also kicked you out of the house. That's why you're in New York by yourself. So
that's right.
She's at her wit's end right now.
It wasn't that hard to do the no alcohol until I came to New York either. Now it's like there's these great little wine bars or wherever, cocktail bars everywhere. And I'm just like, oh, that would be nice to have a cocktail right now. Yeah.
That's why I just stay inside all day. There's no alcohol here.
Yeah.
Okay, sugar video comes out. It's doing mildly better. You know, you've put in the work. It's masterfully edited. It's up there with the best of YouTube videos. It's a fascinating topic.
Oh, thank you.
And also, I'd imagine at this point you had seen other YouTubers like Casey Neistat, who was just blowing it away. He just was coming up with all these clever concepts and just killing it. And there's actually plenty of. I would say there's plenty of great, successful YouTubers. We're like Logan Paul's an example. There's all these popular YouTube videos, but that's not your style, like their types of videos. They're much more younger focused, like Gen Z focused.
And I think they're much more. I mean, I've tried some things that they do, not like Casey Neistat. I have tried some of his style of video, but it's much more experience, like day-to-day experience based. It's more like day-to-day life. Like, this is what I'm going to do today. Follow me along on my adventure.
And by the way, I think that's a strong. You can't run away from what your voice is, and I think if you find that voice, which is what you did, and you're still doing, it's a smarter, higher demographic audience in some cases than just being silly on YouTube to get tens of millions of views. So your average advertiser is probably willing to pay up for that.
Yeah, it has improved. Like ever since the sugar video, things are much better. I put my resume away. It has definitely improved. I think what it is, like stylistically, what I'm doing is a lot of what I'm doing is the opposite of what I did in the beginning, which is, so at the beginning it was absurd. It was about output and being consistent. Now it's about every video is, I try to make sure it has a purpose. It has a point to it. And I spend as much time on it as I need to get it done, to make it as good as it can be. And I don't put it out on a certain day or anything. Just whenever I feel like it's ready. Well, lately the sponsor has a deadline, so I have to have it done by then. But other than that, I don't have my own deadline.
So you kind of have these 4 rules. So you made this video like 6 or 7 months after or 8 months after the sugar video came out, and you've been doing videos all along in this new style now. But you had this great video, how I saved my YouTube channel, and those 4 rules, by the way, I thought that you give were not only great rules for building a YouTube channel, but great rules for all creativity and just great rules actually for life in general. So I want to get to it, but I also want to know what happened more with the sugar video. So it's doing a little better.
Yeah, it did better for about a week. And then someone made a cleverly titled link to it on Reddit, and it made it to the front page of Reddit. And I think it was couple quits sugar for a month, also explanation of added sugar or something like that. And so, because I do have a pretty good explanation of what added sugar is in the video. I think it's pretty good anyway. But then it made it to the front page of Reddit, and then that made it really skyrocket for a short time. I don't remember the exact where the views went from. I think they were at around 100,000, and they went to maybe approaching 1 million or something. And then it got into the YouTube recommended system, and then YouTube started recommending it all over the place.
Now, was that algorithmically it got into there?
I don't know.
And so you don't know if like someone at YouTube was like, hey, I'm gonna manually curate this, because there must be some curation at YouTube.
Yeah,
otherwise it would all be who knows.
I'm suspecting there must have been some sort of manual curation of it, because
there's lots of videos with 1 million views.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
Yeah, and maybe they saw it on Reddit. Whoever it was who worked at YouTube saw it on Reddit, and they're like, "Ooh."
And okay, so continue with this. So you're blowing up in views. Your resume that you were about to send out to Procter and Gamble and other places, you trashed it. What made you decide to trash it? Like, what happened?
I think right when it got to the front of Reddit, I think I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be good. I mean, I had already planned to do all these other videos after that, and I thought, okay, those videos are probably going to do well because this one did well. So I just wasn't worried anymore.
So you started planning kind of other experience. You got excited. You're getting validation. You're getting comments. You're on the front page of Reddit. It was trending on YouTube. You're getting more views than you'd ever gotten before. What was in like the 2010 to 2012 period when you were mostly AdSense or just AdSense? What was your income per year?
I think probably around 100,000.
So that's great to do, doing what you love and living in Austin or wherever you lived. Not
complaining. I was in Chicago for most of it, for like 12 years.
So now you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is like phase 3 maybe of my YouTube life. Because you had that first phase, let's say 2006 to 2010, then 2010 to 2012, then 2012 to 2018 where things were sloping down and you were going to start applying places. And now suddenly, boom, the sugar video, which was you documenting this experience and you did a series of other ones like that. Then you kind of documented what you did to save your YouTube channel. Maybe describe the 4 rules because I love this video. I highly recommend any creative watch this video.
So the 4 rules are, I think I can't remember. I hope I remember all of them.
Fine,
so
have a purpose.
I'm okay. Though I'm trying to remember the order. The first one's have a purpose. Everything I do, make sure it has a purpose, which is completely opposite of what I had been doing up to that point, which was just have fun, basically, make something funny. And often, and I had a mantra for a long time. Dare to be pointless was a mantra I had. I don't ascribe to that anymore. Now it's make sure everything has a purpose, which seems obvious, but to me it wasn't obvious. So just make sure.
Well, define purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Let's think about that. A purpose meaning. Well, because you could look at it from the point of view of myself or from the point of view of the audience. So from the point of view of myself, is it something that if is what I'm doing improving me in some way? And then from the point of view of the audience, will it help the audience? Will it help other people in some way?
Yeah, or for the audience too.
Or will they get something out of it?
Yeah, it's like a blend of, it seems like all the experiments are something we've all considered at some point or other. Like everyone's looked at, people sort of know that cupcakes are bad for them, but we still eat cupcakes. We all sort of are curious what it's like to not have sugar. So this is something probably everybody has thought. So your purpose for the audience, it seems like they're going to relate and questions that they've been asking maybe their whole lives, you're going to help them answer because you've experienced it. You're not just looking at scientific research, which is easy. You're doing it. And so they want to see you. They actually kind of want to see you fail or get miserable so that justifies their, I want to just keep eating cupcakes and screw this guy who's trying to ruin my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the second rule, I think it was the second rule is be honest, which goes along with that, which is, if I'm honest, if I just have an experience and I'm just straightforward about exactly what I did, believe whatever you want, but this is the most useful I can be, basically.
Yeah, but also in terms of the audience perspective, and you said earlier you do this naturally, but it still had high entertainment value. It's not like you suddenly went from doing absurdist videos to putting on a lab coat and saying, this is what my blood levels were like every single day. Here's a graph. Like you still made it, very funny and amusing, and the editing is hilarious, and you're getting your family involved is like hilarious. So I think that was part of the purpose too, is you still want to be entertaining.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's just naturally the way, that's my style. I just can't avoid it. That's just how I present things.
By the way, your rule number 2 was communicate effectively, I think. Or maybe it was, and then 3.
Effectively communicate your purpose with everything you do. That was rule number 2. Yeah.
And so what is, describe that. You have some examples in that video, but.
Well, you can talk about the content of how to effectively communicate. Basically, don't be distracting. Don't put in things that don't matter, have nothing to do with the purpose. Try to, if you're putting in graphics, make sure that they are clearly describing, adding to what you're trying to convey, basically.
So it's sort of like Kurt Vonnegut's writing advice. You know, every sentence has to move the plot forward.
Yeah.
Every word has to help the main character get to some goal.
Right. Yeah. Like don't meander, basically. But also with thumbnails and titles, just make sure that those are, you're not trying to be clickbaity, you're not trying to draw eyes. Although you do that where you can, but as long as you're conveying what it's about, just conveying exactly what the purpose of the thing is.
Right. So, but and with honesty, when you use the word honesty combined with the communication, I don't think it's possible to clickbait. And what I mean is, it's not like you're making a sugar video and you're writing like 10 ways I almost killed myself. You know, you're writing. Your title is actually more clickbaity, the sugar video, than some of your older Absurdist videos, which had Absurdist titles.
Yeah.
I'm much more likely to click on a title which says, "What happened when I didn't eat sugar for a month," than some of the older video titles.
Right.
But it's not clickbaity because it's telling the truth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people.
You're not trying to trap people.
Yeah. I mean, you could be clickbaity, but then you'd be lying. I think, to me, it's a lie if it's clickbait. Because I mean, bait kind of implies it's a lie. Like, basically, like a worm on a hook is like, that's not just a worm. That's that you're going to be caught. You know. But yeah. So if you're being honest, then do all you can to draw people in. I think that's fine, as long as you're being honest and you're conveying the purpose of the thing. And I find that if just more effectively convey the purpose, it just does better.
That communicate effectively combined with the authenticity, really combined with the purpose as well. But just those two things really go hand in hand, as you were saying, like, as the title sort of flows naturally then if you're being honest and if you're communicating effectively. But again, like you said, every component, every edit had to have a reason, every, that matched what the video was about, every scene. Like, what wasn't, there's also saying in writing, kill your darlings. Like, you might write this beautiful paragraph, but if it doesn't, when you later are writing a second draft, if it doesn't really move the story forward, you have to kill this paragraph. You have to erase this paragraph that you love. Did you find yourself editing any scenes that you loved, that you thought were funny, but it didn't really move forward the whole,
Yes.
sugar premise?
Well, usually in the writing process, because now I actually write the things. I used to kind of make it up as I went along. So now when I write, I can't remember a specific time when I shot something and cut it, but I've wrote and rewrote many scripts and cut out lots of jokes. Or I'll write a joke. It's usually jokes. I'll write a long joke and I'll start shooting and I'll be like, nope, that doesn't feel real to me.
Like, can you give an example?
I can't think of one.
But you know what it reminds me of in stand-up comedy is that if you see comedians on stage, sometimes they tell these jokes like, "Oh, you should have seen my date last night," and it's so clear that it's just a joke. It never really happened to them.
Yeah.
But if you take someone like Dave Chappelle with his Sticks and Stones video, or any of his Netflix specials, really, he's saying something that he really believes, and then he's making it funny. So it almost doesn't matter if he's not funny, because he's speaking from this core, so he can just keep going until he makes it funny.
Right.
Somehow he's got skill at funny, so he'll figure it out. But because if he wasn't speaking from his core, if he was just trying a joke and it fails, you're stuck because you're kind of in outer space. You don't know. You're not being held by an anchor anywhere.
Yeah, if you're being honest, if you're just being authentic, it's so easy to keep talking or to keep to go down that path because you're just being yourself.
Like most people on Twitter are deranged assholes, so they could just keep going forever. So
right.
I
like the most recent video I did, the most recent video that's out is the one where I went to bed at 7 p.m. every night. That is an example, because I used to write jokes. I think of jokes completely differently now. I used to think of them as just the content in and of themselves, and nowadays I realize that I was joking because I was hiding things, or I didn't know what else to say, so I just made a joke. Now this most recent video about going to bed at 7 p.m., I didn't even think of it as funny at all when I was writing it. I was just making the I was describing the experience and just trying to convey everything. But because I just naturally write jokes, it just became funny. Commenters saying it's one of my funniest videos. People are saying this is hilarious. I didn't even think of it as funny at all.
I just love the cut too, where you go on, my wife didn't necessarily, agree or want to do, I forget the exact way you worded it, but I love your edits are funny. So
I think I do find jokes in the edit. Yeah. Later on.
Yeah. And, but again, it reminds me I've been doing stand up for like 5 years, and I think I went through this, even though with my writing, which I've been doing forever, I feel very, I've found my voice, but it's always evolving. But it's very much authentic and me, and I only write about things I strongly care about, and then it becomes naturally my voice. But with comedy, for a long time, I didn't really understand that it's not just about making people laugh, and it's not just about the jokes, although it could be, nothing wrong with that. But I really found since I have a much stronger opinion than many, there's not a lot of people starting stand-up in their 40s. So most people are like in their 20s. And so their big thing is my date last night. But when I started saying stuff that I had to make sure every joke was something I really cared about. And then I got to that same sort of realization that if I cared about it, just natural things are going to happen.
Right. Yeah. If you're making up stuff from pulling it out of the air, it's just going to feel not funny.
Yeah. And again, it might be because you just might, stumble into something that is just a well-written joke. But if it does fail, you're lost. Like you can't, you have no backbone or skeleton to kind of stand up anymore. You kind of have to rush to the net, where it felt like to me, I would get scared and you'd have to rush to the next joke. Now, if something doesn't work, I'll just it's in my head. I'm thinking, oh, well, I care about this. So I don't care what they think. This is my opinion.
Right.
I mean, I want them to laugh, of course, but it's still important to me. And Dave Chappelle there was a show on Facebook Watch that Will Smith did. I think it was called Will Smith's Bucket List. And he wanted to do 3 minutes of stand-up comedy. He had never done it. It was on his bucket list. So he flies to Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle gives him the advice, better to be interesting than to be funny. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the funny natural, as you just pointed out, the funny naturally happens if that's the skill set you've been building up.
Right. Exactly. And that's one of the things I like about, let me talk about you now. That's one of the, I like about your writing. You have articles that, have a topic that you've seen other people write about, and then I'll read yours and be like, oh, this is different. This feels like actually a guy talking to me. This feels like a guy with he's not going down the cliche route of whatever the other articles were doing. This is his own opinions, and they're often very opposite what you'd expect.
But that's why I relate so much to what you're saying in your 4 rules of creating content for YouTube. It's the same 4 rules in writing, really, which is that, I guess maybe there's a 5th rule, which is try to be the only one saying what you're saying, which I think you succeed in doing. Like I've never seen any other video of a guy who's tried to go off sugar and then edited, in the funny and amusing way and entertaining way that you do. But it's the same thing. I try to ask myself, if anyone else has ever said this, then it's not interesting to me anymore. Because I'll just tell people, hey, read this. It's better than what I could say. But if I'm saying something that's interesting that I've done my work on or I've experienced, like if I've been through something experientially, then I know it's unique. If I'm the only one who experienced it, I know no one else is going to write this. I'm going to have a unique viewpoint no matter what I say. Exactly. And then it's usually going to be funny too, because it's either going to be funny or it's going to be polarizing. People are going to be like, you're an idiot. If I say don't buy a house, people are either going to say, this is the biggest idiot in the world, or, oh yeah, I'm going to, convince my friends not to force me into buying a house or whatever.
By the way, I mean, I kind of was on board with what you're saying about buying a house. Like I think after doing that video, I do the why do people like videos also. I do the quitting stuff for a month, and I also do why do people like as a way to learn about stuff. If we have time, I'm gonna interview you about universal basic income later. But doing that video completely changed I don't know if I had such strong opinions to begin with, but it changed my mind about buying a house. Like I really do think I think about money differently now, because I think it's really important to have liquid cash on you. I think that's a very valuable thing. And
just for like, so you could sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like not to veer into the whole interview we did for one of your videos like a year ago, but
I veered into it.
but nobody, if someone called you and said, "Hey, Craig, you should buy Apple stock. Here's what you should do. You should put all of your money into Apple stock and then go to the bank and borrow 500% more and put it all into Apple stock."
Yeah.
And that's what you should do and hold it for the next 30 years. And we'll lend you the money and we're going to charge you 8% interest and just hold on to it for 30 years. Don't worry at all. You would never do that. You would think to yourself, that does not make any sense as just in terms of shepherding my money, because a house is a significant investment, even if you don't have to view it that way. That would be a crazy way to view an investment. And yet people do it every day with buying a home.
Yeah. And also you could arguably make more if you just look at it as an investment. You could make more just putting your money in the stock market rather than putting it into property.
Yeah, or investing in yourself. Like, there's a lot of things you could do to take classes, build skill. I mean, we live in a world where skills are rewarded more than degrees. So yes, you got your film degree, but if you hadn't done hundreds of YouTube videos at this point, you'd have a much harder time right now.
Yeah.
So we have 3 rules of the 4 so far. There was find a purpose, communicate effectively, be authentic is what you called it. And within that, you kind of described this transformation in how you were funny in each video. And then what was the 4th rule?
Don't worry about time. So, which was about scheduling. Scheduling and the length of something. Like, I used to think that a video had to be, this old way of thinking was it had to be like 2 to 5 minutes long. And they had to come out at a certain time. You had to have a schedule. You had to be consistent. And now I don't worry about that at all unless I have to meet a sponsored deadline.
So this is interesting because this is a real change in the world of content. So if you think about TV shows and newspapers, a TV show like, you grew up in the 90s, Beverly Hills 90210 had to come out every Thursday at 8 o'clock and then Melrose Place at 9. Or actually, I think they were 9 and 10.
Yeah.
That's how well I know Beverly Hills 90210.
Big fan.
And a newspaper has an editorial calendar. Like, here, these days we do the crossword puzzle. Every day we got to come up with a news story, which is kind of a big problem with news, is that not every day is newsworthy.
Yeah, that's why they make up and they overinflate the interest of every story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prince Harry, like, who cares?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's my philosophy now is just make it as good as it can possibly be. If it's about an experience, make sure I have the experience, make sure I have feelings about the experience, and then convey them.
And again, that don't worry about the time thing, that was a big issue for me in writing for a while. Like, I felt if I didn't put out an entire article, a genius article every single day, then quote unquote my audience was either going to forget about me or not like me or think I had stopped so they wouldn't read me anymore. Like, I was just insane about it. And it took me a while to realize it's much more important to just put out something good, even if it takes a while.
Yeah. The only thing you should be consistent about is that you're consistently good. The thing you put out has value.
Yeah. So it's so interesting talking about this because I also wonder about that. I was talking to one person who's a rapper and he puts out a lot of rap videos on YouTube, and he was telling me about some videos that had failed, and I said, well, how do you feel when that happens? He's like, I don't care because people never remember the bad videos, they only remember the good ones. And so that was his way of being consistent, is that he kind of just ignored mentally the bad ones, thinking that everyone else is going to ignore them as well.
Yeah.
So not that one's view is right and one's view is wrong. You should still you shouldn't put something out before it's done. But you don't really know if it's going to be a big hit until it comes out, really.
Yeah. But also maybe if I would have told myself, if I would have not put out as much as I did back in the past, I wouldn't be where I'm at now either. So maybe when you're starting out, putting out a lot of things is a good practice. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good practice. And you could experiment with lots of ideas.
Yeah. So maybe just where I'm at now, it just makes sense to not put out stuff.
And when you don't put out a lot of stuff, though, does that affect your income, or you're not as worried about that because you found a good, consistent way of?
Yeah, right. Currently, I'm not worried about income. Like I have a lot of sponsor deals that are already set in stone for up in the coming few months. So.
And do you get, so you had 10 million views on that sugar video, and then you've had a million here, a million there, and then sometimes you'll range. You have a wide range. You'll go from like 80,000 views on a video to millions to hundreds of thousands.
Well, the challenge ones tend to do better. The ones that are like the month challenge or the week challenge, those seem to range from like 250,000 to a million.
And do you ever get frustrated when something doesn't hit that you thought would really hit?
Yeah, I mean, it gets frustrating, but then it's usually the videos that I know aren't going to do that well anyways. So I just have to remind myself, Craig, you knew this video wasn't going to do that well. Why are you getting frustrated about it? You know, they're just videos that I was interested in doing, so I did them anyway, even though I knew they weren't going to do that well. There was one video, the home buying video was frustrating because over the long term, it has done pretty well. And so I'm pretty happy with it now. But initially, it didn't do that well. And I spent a lot of time on that one.
That's so interesting because my most popular article ever was probably my initial article. And I've written tons of articles about tons of topics. But my initial article about you should never buy a home, you should never own a home, that's probably my most popular article ever. And when I did it as a video on Yahoo Finance, it got like over 10,000 comments. It was unbelievable.
I think for me, maybe it was just too off-brand for me. I think I don't talk a lot. I didn't talk a lot about finances or home buying and stuff. So,
but now you have this category of like, why do people like X? Yeah. And I feel like that's more on brand for you now. Maybe it became more on brand until over time, so people went back and looked and saw.
You read my mind. Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious also. I'm going to ask the basic question, but what would you say to a kid who wants to make YouTube videos, or even me who wants to make more popular YouTube videos, in addition to your 4 rules, which I think are valuable for all creativity and even other things like entrepreneurship and negotiating and whatever, sales. What would you recommend to a aspiring YouTube creator?
Well, those 4 rules I really emphasize have a purpose for sure. That's like the biggest one. But when you're starting out, sometimes you don't know what your purpose is. And so then I would maybe break some of those rules that we said and do a lot of stuff. Just do it over and over again. There's this culture right now that's kind of like anti-hustle culture that's happening where, you know, it's unhealthy to promote hustle. And it is. I think it's not necessarily for everybody, but it is kind of required if you want to do something pretty great, if you want to have a great career. And
particularly now, like you said, with so many pieces of good creativity, good content vying for our attention, you kind of have to, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, who kind of started this sort of hustle and grind culture, I do think his best book is Crush It, where you really have to like just pound every possible outlet for promoting your stuff and respond to, you know, customers or emailers or whatever. And I think that's actually a pretty valuable piece of advice.
Yeah, I think you just, even if it doesn't do well in the beginning, it is good practice to just do it over and over again and learn and figure out. And then maybe you will find your purpose through that. That's how I found it. So, and
you see, the purpose has to evolve too. Like you've been evolving this style, and but I think now you're more comfortable with that voice evolving and seeing where it takes you. Yeah,
I'm ready I can change purpose if I have to now. Like the point is that I just make sure I know what it is.
I think. Do you think a lot of people take? I don't want to say the easy way out, but it seems like one way to get a lot of views quickly is to have a controversial stance. And I think you don't want to on purpose be controversial. You still want to be. I think it's really important to be authentic. But you see, some people will be alt this or alt that, left or right, and they do that as kind of because they think that'll get the views, and it probably does actually. But I don't know if that's not the best way to be authentic, and it could cause more trouble than it's worth.
I think it could cause trouble because people will see through it, probably eventually. But I think if you are being 100% honest, sometimes you might not know that you're being dishonest. You might not know that you aren't saying what you believe. And if you actually really look at what you believe, I think you will find things that are counter and alt what everyone's talking about, and just don't be afraid to say it.
Yeah, I think that's the key too. There's and that's alongside of authenticity is it's authenticity plus fearlessness, because you're probably saying something that maybe you're a little scared to put out, like maybe what you mercilessly put your family through on the sugar video or whatever, or who knows, maybe there's an opinion that's going to go against medical wisdom, so you get afraid to put it out, and or vegans are going to hate you after the after the vegan video. We're not giving away anything, and I think so there's a fear component too, which I think is healthy.
Yeah, well, I think, like, as an example, the sugar video, the thing that was I was kind of afraid. The thing that was weird about the end of that video that you wouldn't expect isn't that it was so crazy. It's that it wasn't crazy at all. That we just were kind of like, kind of felt better. Like we weren't that intense about it, and that felt weird to do that at the end of the video. Like, should we try to? There was a temptation to try to play it up more, but really there was. If we were being honest, it was just fine, and people responded well to that. So,
out of all these kind of, I'm going to try this videos, has your life changed? Are you still doing any of these things?
Well, I just put up a video about kind of a roundup at the end of the year about.
I saw that video. I haven't yet watched that video. You just put that up like in the past few weeks.
And there definitely has. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm doing now that I'm still doing. I'm still eating less sugar. I'm still eating. I just had a candy bar before I came here.
What?
So,
I can't. What did you have? Like a Mars bar?
I had
or
a Snickers
bar?
I had a Snickers.
Oh my God.
A cold Snickers. I bought it outside. It was hard. But I'm definitely eating less than I was before. I meditate. I still meditate, not every day, but I meditate and I like it a lot. Most things I'm still in some form doing. Vegan, I'm not vegan at all.
Are you happier now?
Yes. I wasn't necessarily unhappy before, but I'm happier and I feel like I have more energy throughout the day. That's the goal, really, to just have more energy. I still have a lot of problem with sleep, and I'm still trying to figure that out. But
I think that's a common thing in our society now.
Yeah.
But and I'll ask just one more question about for the aspiring YouTube video maker, which is a lot of people ask the question like, okay, you were doing it for so many years, and then you kind of found your voice, which is like, well, how do I want to get better? And then I'm going to document that, blah, blah, blah. How does somebody sort of experiment enough so that they start to realize what their voice is? Because you even did this initial video, like, why do people like haul videos? So you started to experiment and play around to kind of find which things were giving you both pleasure and validation, and were finding answers to things you were curious about. Like, how do people go through this process of experimentation? Is there a methodology you would recommend?
I don't know that. Like, I think, a thing you don't see, what people don't see about the videos I'm making is the writing. Like, I'm spending a lot of time writing them, and I feel like that's one thing that I'm learning. Like the past couple years of doing these videos, I have really learned how to write a lot better because I'm writing and rewriting a script and really, really delving deep into how to find the purpose of the video in the writing of it. And the only way that I've learned to do that, and I just read an article from you before coming here, I reread an article, is to do it over and over and over again. Just like I'm forcing myself to. Sometimes I don't want to write, but I'm writing and writing and writing, and I feel like I'm getting better doing it. And that's really there's no easy way. And you say that in your article. I don't remember which article it was, but you say that it is hard, and I really don't know another way to do it. You do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and I think the only way to maybe, or not the only way, but the most effective way, I think, to speed it up a little bit is to experiment a little. Yeah. So if all you did was the absurdist videos and you stuck to that forever, you never would, even no matter how many hours you put in, you never would have gotten to the success that you currently have. Yeah. So you have to always try something new and be a little nervous about it, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a temptation to go on autopilot. There's a temptation to find a consistent thing that works and to repeat over and over again. And if you get into that cycle, eventually I think you're going to burn out and it's going to stop working, or you're not going to learn, you're not going to grow.
WheezyWaiter. Thanks so much, Craig Benzine. WheezyWaiter on YouTube. Any other place you want people to check out? I mean, I think
That's probably good. WheezyWaiter. Yeah. YouTube.com/WheezyWaiter. Twitter, WheezyWaiter. The only reason I'd want you to, I still tweet a lot, but the only reason I'd want you to really check that out is because I'm so close to 100,000. I've been so close to 100,000 for many years.
How many do you have right now?
91,000.
We're getting you up to 100,000. What about
Okay.
TikTok? How many followers do you have there?
I don't do TikTok.
Oh man, you should slice up some of your videos and put them
I should.
on TikTok.
I should.
Oh, and Instagram. Do you do anything there?
Not really. I have a WheezyWaiter Instagram account.
Did you put your videos on Facebook?
Nope.
Which, by the way, I think there's various issues there. But
Yeah.
one idea I had for you on revenues, by the way, is not only sponsors, but maybe you should try affiliate deals. So if somebody, like all of your sponsors are selling something, and sometimes you can either get a direct payment, or if they're selling something that's rather high priced, like let's say it's a travel agency or a travel site, if you kind of have an affiliate deal where you get a portion of sales directly by your video, that could be much more lucrative.
Interesting.
So anyway, just throwing it out. I mean,
Okay.
it's worth what you just paid for it. So
Do you want to be my manager?
no.
Okay.
But I will say this: you can call me up for advice anytime you want.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that I'll do. All right. Thanks so much, Craig.
All right.
WheezyWaiter.
Thank you.
Powered by Snapdragon, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra elevates your photography to epic new heights. Snapdragon processors deliver a color experience like no other, with sharp, industry-leading 8K video capture. You can also snap images in 200 megapixels, capturing more detail than ever. And those late-night blurry pics are a thing of the past, thanks to next-level night mode. Experience powerfully moving premium photography, only with Snapdragon. Follow us on Instagram at Snapdragon Official.